According to a spokesperson from the IDF, more than 70 fighter jets, including F-59 Ram, F-35I Adar stealth fighters, and Heron TP reconnaissance attack drones, participated simultaneously in an airstrike campaign that lasted 2 hours and 30 minutes. The battlefield was not limited to the border area, but extended deep into the farthest regions ever targeted by the Israeli Air Force in modern history, the capital city of Tehran, and nearby facilities such as Kermanshah, Isfahan, and Natanz. And the big question is, how was Israel able to penetrate so deeply into airspace that is protected by one of the densest air defense networks in the Middle East? The answer lies in the very first strike, a series of precise raids targeting the early warning radar systems, surface-to-air missile control stations, and Iran's S-200 and S-300 launchers. These sites, which form the backbone of Tehran's anti-access area denial capabilities, were swiftly neutralized thanks to a tactic of asynchronous air defense suppression. Israel successfully implemented an opening move strategy similar to NATO's combat doctrine, disrupting the first link in the enemy's air defense command system, which allowed subsequent airstrikes to be carried out at safer altitudes and distances. According to the commander of the Israeli Air Force, Major General Torbar, "We have gained freedom of operation in Iranian airspace, something unprecedented." This success was significantly supported by the strategic intelligence platform that Mossad has developed over many years, featuring a network of personnel and technology that enables precise targeting of key components within Iran's air defense system. Notably, some radar sites were attacked even before the official airstrike began, disrupting Iran's early warning network. The results of the opening strike are clear. 40 military targets in the Tehran area were destroyed, including the IRGC Command Center aircraft hangars, a UAV command station, and part of the regional military communication system. In fact, according to initial satellite images and video analysis from the scene, a section of the international airport west of Tehran, suspected of storing Shahed attack drones, was also hit. From a strategic perspective, Israel's decision to strike directly at the center of power, rather than maintaining scattered attacks along the Syria-Lebanon border as usual, sends a clear signal. Tel Aviv has chosen to escalate the conflict from a proxy model to direct confrontation with Iran. Meanwhile, Western analysts also acknowledge that Israel breaking Tehran's red line sets a dangerous precedent for the air defense systems of other countries in the region, especially since the attack was not effectively intercepted. In summary, the opening phase of the Lion Awakens campaign not only showcased Israel's superior capabilities in technology, intelligence, and tactics, but also marked the gradual collapse of Iran's defense network, an essential line of defense for the country's nuclear and missile ambitions. From our analytical perspective, the recent airstrike on Tehran was not merely a long-range preemptive strike, it exemplifies a textbook case of integrated modern warfare: intelligence, operations, technology, and strategic psychology. Every step had been planned years in advance. Now we witness a strike that is exemplary in precision, timing, and effectiveness. There were 3 attacks that occurred almost simultaneously. The first phase, as mentioned earlier, is to break through Iran's air defense system, a prerequisite for gaining control of the airspace. However, what is remarkable is not the outcome, but the method Israel used to achieve it. From intelligence sources revealed by the Israeli government after the operation, we learned that Mossad and the IDF Military Intelligence Directorate had been monitoring the entire operational structure of Iran's air defense system for over a decade, including its alarm response procedures. This allowed Israel not only to strike fixed targets, but also to attack the process itself, targeting decision-making capabilities, communication networks, and response speed. Therefore, as soon as the early warning radars and control stations were taken out, Iran's entire SAM systems, such as the S-200 and S-300, became blind and deaf steel blocks, completely unable to coordinate. This is the concept of network kill, which the US implemented in the wars in Kosovo, Iraq in 2003, and Libya in 2011. The second layer is to disable the ability to counterattack using long-range missiles and drones. Iran possesses one of the largest stockpiles of ballistic missiles and drones in the region, driven by its ambition for asymmetric warfare. However, this is also its critical vulnerability. So, most of Iran's missiles actually use liquid fuel, which means they need to be refueled right there on site before they can be launched. And, that's a pretty lengthy and exposed process, making those missiles highly susceptible to attacks. Israel understood this completely. On the very first night, reconnaissance drones locked onto the positions of missile launch systems, mobile storage sites, and even those mobile assembly units. Then, F-35 and F-15 fighter jets carried out coordinated strikes to paralyze counterattack capabilities, targeting fuel depots, supply vehicles, and transportation routes. The result? Out of the initial plan to launch 1,000 missiles at Israel, Iran was only able to fire about 200, and most of those were either intercepted or landed in unpopulated areas. We really have to emphasize here that this isn't a victory in the physical realm. Instead, it's a victory on the operational logic front. Israel not only destroyed the equipment, but also managed to disrupt Iran's organizational and mobilization capabilities at a critical moment when a rapid response was needed. The third level targets the central command capability, what the military refers to as a decapitation strike. It's no surprise that just hours after the airstrike, Iran confirmed that a number of high-ranking generals were taken out of action, from the commander of the IRGC Air Force, the chief of staff, the intelligence commander, to the person in charge of the ground-to-ground missile systems. According to verified data, at least 20 general-level commanders and more than 9 key nuclear scientists were eliminated in the initial wave. This not only weakened the immediate response capability but also extended the consequences of the campaign for many months, possibly even years, since no one possesses the expertise and authority to fully take over the entire system. The most distinctive feature of this offensive operation is the high-level integration of intelligence and technology. The targets are not just buildings but people, individuals whose daily lives, work routines, and movements have been monitored for years. When Israel strikes, it doesn't aim at the facilities themselves. Instead, it targets those individuals at the exact moments when they are at their most vulnerable locations. From a strategic perspective, I believe this is a move that completely shifts the balance of power in the region. Iran, which had previously built its strategy around domination through missiles and nuclear threats, has now not only lost its military assets but also its confidence that it can control the situation in the event of an open war. And the greatest danger for Tehran does not lie in the current damage but in the fact that Israel has proven it can do it again at any time. The most notable aspect of Israel's campaign isn't the number of bombs dropped, but the strategic objective behind each one. From our analysis, it's clear that from the very first night, Israel chose a different approach. They didn't aim to destroy the entire physical infrastructure of Iran's nuclear program. Instead, they targeted the most invaluable and hardest to replace asset people, specifically the top scientists and technicians. The list of 9 scientists eliminated from the competition dealt a precise blow to the core of Iran's atomic program knowledge. All of them were leading experts in nuclear physics, chemical engineering, atomic energy, and applied mechanics. They were not only highly skilled professionals but also served as the direct successors, passing on knowledge as the next generation of those who laid the foundation for Iran's nuclear program since the 1990s. Unlike conventional weapons programs, nuclear capabilities cannot be quickly restored simply by rebuilding facilities. The most important factors are knowledge, skills, and experience accumulated over decades. When these people are eliminated, Israel not only slows down Iran's nuclear program, but also throws it into disarray, leaving it directionless, poorly managed, and most importantly, demoralized. This is a classic example of a strategy focused on targeting long-term resilience. Physical infrastructure like uranium refining plants can be rebuilt, but a high-quality, skilled workforce ecosystem just can't be created overnight. It really takes time, resources, and a relatively stable environment, something Iran at this point no longer has. Not stopping there, the subsequent airstrikes also targeted auxiliary research centers, where engineers, technicians, and indirect support units for the weapons of mass destruction program were trained. Some of the facilities hit included the research center in Isfahan, the digital data storage related to uranium reprocessing procedures, and notably, the radioactive metal reprocessing site on the outskirts of Fordo. These strikes were clearly not random selections. They were prioritized based on their impact on the progress of the nuclear weapons program. I also paid close attention to how Israel planned its preemptive strike while maintaining maximum flexibility. Even with a comprehensive target map in hand, the Israeli Air Force did not launch a massive attack on all suspected points. Instead, they selected key targets that were critical to crippling command capabilities and restructuring efforts. This approach prevented Iran from assembling forces in time to respond. As a result, rather than a two-sided confrontation, Israel's campaign became a one-sided battle dominated by speed, range, and control. In less than 24 hours after Tehran was shaken by a series of explosions, Iran immediately launched its retaliation plan. About 200 ballistic missiles and more than 150 suicide drones were fired, targeting sites across central Israel. The operation, which Iran named True Promise No. 3, was a clear effort to maintain a proactive image and exact a fitting price. From a practical military perspective, Iran's counterattack reveals more than just impotence. About 95% of the missiles were intercepted by Israel's multi-layered defense system, which includes Iron Dome, David's Sling, Arrow, as well as interception capabilities from the U.S. fleet stationed in the Mediterranean Sea. Only a few missiles got through, causing casualties to 3 civilians and injuring dozens more in residential areas such as Tel Aviv and Rishon LeZion. What I want to clarify is this is not a balanced battle. Iran spent years building up its missile arsenal, but when it came time to use it, the system couldn't perform effectively because it was targeted at its core. The command system was paralyzed, the launch platforms were destroyed, and the supply depots were no longer operational. These targets included Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, the Nevatim military base, and industrial areas in Ashdod and Beersheba. According to reports, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, declared attacks targeting Israel's military and industrial centers, which are used to produce weapons and carry out operations against Palestine and regional resistance groups. Although Israel, with support from the United States, the United Kingdom, and France, claimed to have intercepted 80 to 97% of the missiles and drones, some still penetrated the Iron Dome, David's Sling, and Arrow defense systems, causing damage to residential and industrial areas in Tel Aviv and injuring 21 people. Preliminary reports from the scene indicate smoke rising from industrial zones and a series of explosions south of Tel Aviv, with buildings destroyed and burning in Ashkelon and Nedavat. Iran claims that the missiles hit strategic targets, but independent analysts have only confirmed damage in certain areas, with it unclear whether it was caused by direct missile strikes or debris from interceptions. The military conflict between Iran and Israel in June 2025 marked a serious escalation in the decades-long tensions between the two countries. According to documents, Israel launched a large-scale airstrike campaign called Operation Rising Lion, targeting Iran's nuclear facilities, Natanz, Isfahan, Fordo, air bases, Hamadan, and ground missile depots. These attacks, carried out the night before, aimed to weaken Iran's nuclear program and military capabilities, citing Iran's accelerated development of nuclear weapons. Reports indicate that the above-ground facilities at Natanz were destroyed, causing power outages and chemical contamination, although the underground facilities were not directly affected. Israel has announced that it has eliminated several senior military commanders and nuclear scientists of Iran, causing significant damage to its ballistic missile arsenal. Intelligence played a crucial role in both campaigns. Israel relied on detailed intelligence from satellite spies and cooperation with the United States to identify sensitive targets in Iran, while Iran used its intelligence network and surveillance capabilities to detect Israeli attacks and organize rapid responses. The ability to gather, analyze, and utilize intelligence has shaped the effectiveness of attacks, from accurately selecting targets to assessing post-operation damage. These developments not only reflect military capability, but also highlight the critical role of intelligence in shaping strategy and responses in modern conflicts. Israel's intelligence capabilities played a crucial role in planning and executing these attacks, supported by Mossad and military intelligence agencies such as Amman. Israel demonstrated the ability to gather detailed information about Iran's military and nuclear facilities. According to analyses from sources such as the Jerusalem Post and Defense News, Israel has utilized high-resolution satellite imagery, combined with information from on-the-ground spies and special intelligence sources, to pinpoint the exact locations of targets. For example, the targeting of uranium enrichment facilities in Natanz demonstrates that Israel has a detailed understanding of the layout of these sites, including the locations of power stations and personnel entrances, an insight that experts on the Reddit Geopolitics forum attribute to years of continuous surveillance. Cooperation with the United States is a crucial factor. According to Foreign Policy, the U.S. has provided data from reconnaissance satellites and Global Hawk drones, helping Israel create detailed target maps. Precision strikes on substations and backup generators at Natanz, as confirmed by the Institute for Science and International Security, demonstrate that Israel prioritized disrupting the operations of nuclear facilities without using bunker-buster bombs. This reflects sophisticated intelligence analysis aimed at maximizing effectiveness with limited resources. Additionally, targeting IRGC commanders and nuclear scientists demonstrates Israel's superior SIGINT capabilities, which may have intercepted Iran's internal communications to pinpoint the locations of key figures. However, Israel's intelligence capabilities are not without limitations. Israel appears to lack comprehensive information about the underground facilities at Fordo and Natanz, which are protected by layers of concrete and mountainous terrain. This explains why Israel focuses on above-ground targets as confirmed by the IAEA, rather than attempting to destroy the underground sites. Some analysts on War on the Rocks suggest that Israel may have underestimated the resilience of Iran's nuclear facilities, particularly the backup systems and underground weapon storage sites, which Iran has heavily invested in over the past decade. Moreover, Israel's claim of destroying mobile missile launchers highlights their heavy reliance on real-time intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, or ISR, from drones and satellites. However, identifying and eliminating these mobile launchers remains a significant challenge, as Iran has developed advanced camouflage systems and rapid mobility. This indicates that despite Israel's technological advantages and international coordination, they still face difficulties in gathering comprehensive intelligence on Iran's dispersed military systems. On the other hand, Iran's counterattack through the Operation True Promise 3 campaign has yielded significant results. So, what role does Iranian intelligence play in this? Iran's intelligence capabilities play a crucial role in detecting Israeli attacks and organizing rapid responses. According to sources from Al Jazeera, Iran has significantly improved its intelligence system in recent years, particularly through a regional spy network and allied groups such as Hezbollah in Lebanon and militia forces in Iraq and Syria. The analyses in the posts indicate that Iran may have used information from human intelligence and signals intelligence sources to detect Israel's preparatory activities, enabling the IRGC to launch a response just hours after the airstrikes. Iran's ability to coordinate a complex attack involving more than 150 missiles and 100 drones targeting multiple sites thousands of miles away demonstrates that they possess detailed intelligence on Israel's military bases and infrastructure. Experts on the Geopolitics forum believe that Iran may have used commercial reconnaissance satellites and surveillance drones to gather intelligence on Israel's defense systems, including the locations of radar installations and Iron Dome launchers. This explains why Iran employs a saturation attack strategy, combining high-speed ballistic missiles with slower drones to overwhelm Israel's defense systems. According to The Guardian, The fact that some missiles penetrated the Iron Dome indicates that Iran has thoroughly analyzed the system's vulnerabilities, possibly using data gathered from previous attacks by Hezbollah or Hamas. Additionally, the IRGC's claim of targeting weapons manufacturing centers in Tel Aviv suggests that Iran possesses intelligence on Israel's sensitive industrial facilities, although the accuracy of this information has yet to be confirmed. Finally, we will predict and analyze the upcoming developments in the intense conflict between Iran and Israel following the heated events of June 2025. This confrontation is not just a matter between two countries. It has the potential to shake the entire Middle East region and significantly impact the global economy. Let's explore the possible scenarios that could unfold in the near future. The Iran-Israel conflict has reached a peak with Israel's Operation Rising Lion targeting Iran's nuclear facilities, airbases and missile depots. Iran responded with Operation True Promise 3, launching over 150 ballistic missiles and 100 drones at Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and Israeli military bases. Although Israel intercepted most of the attacks, some missiles penetrated the Iron Dome defense system, causing damage in residential and industrial areas, and injuring 21 people. Iran claimed success, but only about 6 to 10 missiles actually hit their targets. These developments indicate that both sides are prepared to escalate, and the future promises to be even more tense. From a military perspective, Israel could intensify attacks on Iran's underground nuclear facilities, such as Fordo and Natanz, which are protected by mountainous terrain and reinforced concrete. According to the Jerusalem Post, Israel might use the US-supplied GBU-57 bunker buster bombs to destroy these sites, but the challenges are significant. Meanwhile, Iran is ramping up production of advanced ballistic missiles like the Sajil-2, which have improved penetration capabilities. According to Al Jazeera, Iran may continue to employ saturation attack tactics, combining high-speed missiles and drones to overwhelm Israel's defense systems. However, limitations in satellite technology and real-time intelligence make it difficult for Iran to inflict serious damage on strategic targets such as air bases or command centers. Diplomacy will play a crucial role, but the prospects for peace currently remain very fragile. The United Nations Security Council has held emergency meetings according to Reuters, but divisions among the major powers reduce the chances of reaching a resolution. Russia and China may veto resolutions against Iran, while the US continues to support Israel. Regional countries, such as Saudi Arabia and Turkey, according to Middle East Eye, could act as mediators, but conflicting interests make reconciliation difficult. The US, according to the New York Times, will urge Israel to exercise restraint to avoid a full-scale war, while simultaneously maintaining military support, increasing the risk of prolonged tensions. Information warfare will also be a crucial front. Iran will continue to intensify propaganda efforts to bolster domestic support, as it did with the false claims about shooting down Israel's F-35 fighter jet, according to the Tehran Times. Conversely, Israel will release additional evidence of successful attacks, such as satellite images of destroyed nuclear facilities, according to the Times of Israel. Both sides will use the media to shape international public opinion, further complicating diplomatic efforts.